Greetings to my wonderful readers and followers. It has been over a month since I last shared a story with you, and I have truly missed our creative journey. Today, I return with a compelling new vision for the Naruto universe, a tale of pride, transformation, and hidden truths. Thank you for your patience and for waiting for my return. I hope this new story captivates you as much as it has inspired me. Chapter 1. Shattered Petals. The forest on the outskirts of the hidden leaf did not offer peace. It offered a witness to a breakdown. Deep within the emerald shadows, where the canopy filtered the sunlight into jagged, ghostly shards, Ino Yamanaka was fighting a war against the air itself. She was breathtaking, even in her ruin. Her long, platinum blonde hair, usually tied in a sleek, confident ponytail, had come undone. It whipped around her face like frayed silk, clinging to the sweat on her neck and shoulders. She wore a sleeveless, deep purple mesh tunic that hugged her slender frame, paired with high-waisted black tactical shorts that accentuated her long, toned legs. But the elegance she was known for was gone, replaced by a raw, jagged desperation. "Damn it! Damn it all to hell!" she screamed, her voice cracking as she drove a kunai deep into the trunk of a cedar tree. She wasn't just training. She was trying to kill the memory of the whispers. Her mind was a kaleidoscope of the horrors the village had become. Only weeks ago, she was the jewel of the Yamanaka clan. Now, she was a pariah. Sakura Haruno, once her best friend, had systematically dismantled Ino's life with a precision more lethal than any medical ninjutsu. Fueled by a toxic, festering jealousy of Ino's natural beauty and grace, Sakura had woven a web of lies so vile they had stained Ino's very soul. The rumors were everywhere. People claimed Ino was a whore, a girl who sold her body to any man with a coin, opening herself to the village like a common streetwalker. The lies grew more graphic by the day. Claims that she sought out 10 men at a time, that she was hollowed out by her own lust. Ino struck the tree again, her knuckles bleeding. "I am a virgin," she wailed to the empty forest, the words catching in her throat. "I've never even held a hand like that. How could you, Sakura? How could you?" Tears streamed down her pale cheeks, hot and stinging. She remembered the look on her father's face before she was cast out, the doubt, the shame. Sakura had won. By painting Ino as a disgraced woman, Sakura had ensured that no one looked at Ino with admiration anymore. They looked at her with hunger or disgust. "You pink-haired demon." Ino choked out, her knees buckling. She collapsed against the roots of the tree, her chest heaving. "You did this because you couldn't stand that I was prettier. You did this to bury me." She sobbed into her dirt-stained hands, the image of Sakura's smug, innocent smile burning in her mind. The forest remained silent, indifferent to the girl whose reputation had been slaughtered by a friend's jealousy. Ino felt like a ghost, a beautiful shell of a human being, discarded and rotting in the silence of the trees. Would you like me to continue with the next part of the scene, perhaps describing more of Ino's internal struggle before her fateful encounter? The tears eventually subsided, replaced by a searing, cold rage. Ino pushed herself up, her muscles screaming in protest. This was her new reality. Pain, isolation, and a burning need to prove them all wrong. Her mother's face, twisted in disgust as she pointed to the door, flashed in Ino's mind. "Get out, Ino. I don't have a daughter who behaves like a common harlot." The words still echoed, cutting deeper than any kunai. There was no going back. Her home was gone, her family shattered, all because of Sakura's poison. "I won't break," Ino muttered, wiping her face with the back of her hand. Her eyes, usually sparkling with life, were now haunted. "I will not let them win." She launched into a furious sequence of taijutsu, each punch and kick infused with the bitterness gnawing at her soul. Her movements were sharp, precise, yet imbued with a frantic energy. She envisioned Sakura's face on every tree trunk, every imaginary opponent. "This is for lying. Wham. This is for destroying me. Thwack. This is for my mother's tears. Hiya." Her body, though pushed to its limits, responded. She twisted, pivoted, dodged, and struck, a whirlwind of blonde hair and purple fabric. But the ground beneath her was uneven, riddled with roots and loose stones, a treacherous adversary in her blind fury. As she spun for a powerful roundhouse kick, Her left foot landed awkwardly on a gnarled root hidden beneath a layer of fallen leaves. A sharp, searing pain shot up her leg. "Arg!" she shrieked, her training coming to an abrupt, agonizing halt. Her ankle twisted inward, sending a shock wave of agony through her. She crumpled to the ground, clutching her throbbing foot. Damn it! Damn it to hell and back! What else could go wrong? Tears of frustration and pure physical pain welled up again, blurring her vision. She cursed Sakura's name, the village's judgment, her own misfortune. "You bitch! You absolute, manipulative bitch! May you rot in 1,000 hells, Sakura Haruno." She was on her hands and knees, gasping for breath, the pain a relentless hammer against her senses. Her head was bowed, hair obscuring her face, as she tried to stifle the sobs threatening to escape. Then, a sound. The subtle crunch of leaves, too rhythmic, too intentional to be an animal. Her breath hitched. Her heart pounded, not just from pain, but from a sudden, primal fear. She slowly lifted her head, pushing strands of hair away from her tear-streaked eyes. Her gaze snapped to the edge of the clearing. Her eyes widened. Then, they stretched even wider, filling with a mix of shock, disbelief, and a fresh wave of despair that threatened to drown her. Striding through the dappled sunlight, a figure emerged. Gone was the bright orange, the boisterous grin, the loud declarations. This was someone else entirely. Naruto Uzumaki. He was undeniably, breathtakingly handsome. His messy blonde hair, no longer a spiky mess, seemed to have settled into a more refined, almost aristocratic style that framed a face chiseled with sharp, elegant lines. His skin, once tan from endless training, was now impossibly pale, almost translucent, like fresh snow. It contrasted starkly with his piercing, almost cold blue eyes. He moved with an effortless, predatory grace. The loud, vibrant orange training uniform had been replaced by a pristine, form-fitting white tunic that seemed to glide with his every step, subtly highlighting the lean, almost slender musculature beneath. He wasn't bulky, but every curve of his arms and shoulders spoke of honed strength, a body meticulously sculpted for power and speed. It was the kind of physique women swooned over, a picture of refined, masculine beauty. But to Ino, he was a nightmare given form. He was the embodiment of the new Konoha, the cold, distant hero who had forgotten his roots, the very symbol of everything that had been taken from her. She had seen him in passing, heard the whispers of his arrogance, witnessed him dismiss awestruck fans with a curt wave and a detached gaze. He had become a god, untouchable, and utterly devoid of the warmth that once defined him. She couldn't fathom how such a drastic transformation could have occurred. It was as if a demon had possessed the boisterous, kind-hearted boy she once knew. Naruto moved without urgency, his gaze sweeping over the clearing with an air of detached amusement. He seemed to relish the silence, the power he exuded, the sheer presence that demanded attention. His eyes finally landed on Ino, crumpled on the ground, her face a mask of pain and humiliation. A slow, almost imperceptible smile, devoid of any genuine warmth, stretched across his lips. It was the smile of a cat playing with a mouse. He stopped a few feet away, hands casually tucked into the pockets of his tailored black trousers, his posture radiating effortless superiority. "Well, well, well," he drawled, his voice deeper, smoother, and laced with an infuriating condescension that sent shivers down Ino's spine. "If it isn't Ino-sama, what are you doing down there? Is this some new Yamanaka technique for cultivating humility? Or perhaps a very dramatic nap?" He tilted his head, his eyes glinting with amusement, completely oblivious to the cruel rumors that had driven her to this state. To him, she was just an annoyance, a minor distraction in his perfect world. Ino's face burned with a mixture of shame, fury, and agonizing pain. How dare he? How dare he mock her, the very embodiment of her shattered world? She struggled to push herself up, her injured ankle screaming in protest. "You arrogant, self-important imbecile," she spat, her voice hoarse with unshed tears. "I'll show you a new technique." She tried to push herself to her feet, a furious, defiant spark in her eyes, determined to stand and face him. But as soon as she put weight on her left foot, a fresh wave of blinding pain tore through her. Her ankle buckled beneath her, sending her tumbling back to the dirt with a cry of agony. She landed hard, a pathetic heap of blonde hair and purple fabric, right at his feet. The forest seemed to hold its breath, witnessing her complete and utter degradation. Ino lay in the dirt, the physical agony of her ankle eclipsed by the scorching heat of humiliation. Naruto didn't move to help her. He stood there like a marble statue, his pale skin glowing against the white fabric of his shirt. He looked down at her not with concern, but with a detached curiosity one might show an insect struggling on its back. "Pathetic," he whispered, the word carrying more weight than a physical blow. "The great heiress of the Yamanaka clan, groveling in the mud. Is this what the elite of the leaf have become? Shut up. Just shut your arrogant mouth." Ino sobbed, her fingers digging into the soil. "You think you're so much better than us just because you saved the world? You're a monster, Naruto. A cold, heartless monster." Naruto let out a long, weary sigh, a sound of pure boredom. He closed his eyes for a moment, the sun catching the long lashes against his snowy skin. "You truly are pitiable," he said, his voice dropping to a smooth, dangerous silk. "I actually find myself feeling a spark of pity for you. To see a kunoichi reduced to such a sniveling wreck, it's a disgrace to the uniform." "I am not a disgrace," Ino shrieked, her voice cracking. "You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what they say." Naruto chuckled, a dry, melodic sound that lacked any soul. "I don't care what they say. I don't listen to the buzzing of flies, Ino. I only see what is in front of me, a failure." He stepped closer, his shadow falling over her like a heavy shroud. "Fine. Since I cannot stand the sight of such incompetence, I will assist you." He reached down, his movements swift and forceful. He grabbed her arm to hoist her up, but as he pulled, his boot caught on the same gnarled root that had claimed Ino's ankle. The world tilted. Naruto lost his balance, and because he was still holding her, they both went down. With a heavy thud, Naruto landed directly on top of her. The impact was intimate and jarring. Ino's breath left her lungs in a sharp gasp as she felt the solid, lean weight of his chest pressing firmly against her breasts. Through the thin mesh of her tunic and the fine silk of his white shirt, the heat of his body was undeniable. For a split second, the forest went silent. Ino's face turned a violent shade of crimson. The proximity, the scent of his expensive cologne mixed with the cold ozone of his chakra, sent a jolt of pure electricity through her. But it wasn't attraction, it was a panicked, defensive rage. Slap. She swung her hand with every ounce of strength she had left, her palm connecting squarely with his pale cheek. "Pervert! Sexual harasser!" she screamed, her voice reaching a fever pitch. "Get off me! You're just like the rest of them." Naruto grunted, his head snapping to the side from the force of the blow. He pushed himself up on his elbows, a dark, dangerous flicker igniting in his blue eyes. "What the hell is wrong with you, woman? It was an accident. Liars. You're all liars." Ino cried, trying to scramble away, but her injured ankle gave out again. She tripped forward, and in a desperate, clumsy attempt to catch her from falling face-first into the dirt again, Naruto's hand shot out. His palm landed firmly on the curve of her backside, steadying her weight. The silence that followed was deafening. Ino froze, her eyes wide and trembling. She turned her head slowly, looking at his hand, then back at his face. "Get your hands off me," she howled, swinging her fist this time. She struck his shoulder, her tears falling like rain. "You're a predator. You came here to take advantage of me because you heard the stories. You just want my body like every other disgusting man in this village. You're obsessed with my chest, with my body. You're a sick, perverted animal." Naruto stood up slowly, brushing the dust from his white sleeves with agonizing precision. He didn't look angry anymore, he looked disgusted. He looked down at her as she sat there sobbing, her hands covering her face. "Listen to me, you vain, delusional girl," Naruto said, his voice vibrating with a terrifying, cold authority. "I am Naruto Uzumaki. I don't need to harass you. I don't need to trick anyone. He stepped toward her, looming over her until she was forced to look up into his icy gaze. "If I wanted to take you," he said, his voice dropping to a low, predatory growl that made her heart stop, "I would simply take you. I have the power to do whatever I wish, and no one in this village would dare stop me. If I wanted to pin you to this tree and have my way with you, it would be done. But I don't." He leaned in closer, his face inches from hers. "I don't touch trash, Ino. Not even a pretty piece of trash like you. Your reputation means nothing to me because you mean nothing to me. Stop flattering yourself." He straightened up, his expression returning to one of bored arrogance. "Now, are you going to crawl back to the village, or are you going to shut your mouth so I can get you out of this dirt?" Ino could only stare at him, her breath hitching in her throat, caught between the terror of his words and the crushing weight of his absolute disdain. Ino sat in the dirt, her pride lying in tatters around her. The weight of Naruto's words, cold, sharp, and brutally honest, had silenced her hysterics. She looked at his pristine white shirt, then at her own bruised and bloodied hands. She had nowhere else to go, but she couldn't tell him that. "Not yet." "Fine," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Just take me to my house. I can't walk." Naruto didn't offer a hand to help her up. Instead, he turned his back to her and lowered himself slightly into a crouch. "Get on. I don't have all day to watch you wither away in the mud." Ino hesitated for a heartbeat, staring at the broad, lean expanse of his back. With a flush of deep embarrassment, she leaned forward, wrapping her arms around his neck and hooking her legs around his waist. As he stood up, the strength in his legs was effortless, as if she weighed nothing more than a feather. Don't you dare enjoy this," Ino muttered into the crook of his neck, her face burning. She could smell him, a scent of cold mountain air and something metallic, like unsheathed steel. Naruto let out a short, mocking puff of air. "Enjoy this? Why on earth would I enjoy carrying a loud, heavy, and dusty girl through the woods? You aren't exactly a vision of beauty right now, Ino. You're a mess." Ino flinched, burying her face in his pale blonde hair to hide the fresh sting in her eyes. "You really are the worst," she hissed, though she fell silent after that, overwhelmed by the strange safety of his stride. Inside Naruto's mind, a deep, rumbling growl echoed through the gilded cage of his subconscious. "You truly are a brat, Naruto," Kurama's voice boomed, dripping with irritation. "That is no way to treat a woman who is clearly broken. Have you forgotten everything? A little kindness wouldn't kill you. Look at her. She's miserable." "Quiet, fox," Naruto thought back, his mental tone just as arrogant as his spoken one. "Kindness is for the weak. I am simply providing her with the utility of transport." "You're a fool," Kurama snapped. "A handsome, powerful, golden fool. Fix this. Make it right, or I'll stop giving you my chakra the next time you want to act like a god in front of your fans." Naruto sighed audibly, a sound that made Ino shift slightly on his back. He hated it when the fox was right about social optics. He cleared his throat, his voice losing just a fraction of its icy edge. "I suppose," he started, pausing as if the words were difficult to swallow. "I suppose you would be considered beautiful by the standards of this village, if you actually stopped screaming for 5 minutes. You have a decent face when it isn't covered in snot and dirt." Ino lifted her head, her blue eyes wide and shimmering with surprise. Do you actually mean that?" "I don't lie." "It's a waste of breath," Naruto replied curtly. He adjusted his grip on her legs, his expression turning thoughtful. "Instead of your house, let's go get some ramen. I'm hungry, and you look like you haven't eaten in days." Ino went rigid. The thought of going into the village, into the public eye, terrified her. "I can't." "Naruto, don't you know? Haven't you heard the stories?" Naruto stopped walking for a second, tilting his head back slightly. "Stories? What stories?" Ino swallowed hard, her voice dropping to a shameful whisper. "The rumors. That I'm a whore. That I sleep with everyone. That I'm a disgrace to the shinobi name." Naruto began walking again, his pace steady and unbothered. He didn't gasp. He didn't look disgusted. He simply asked one question. Are you? Ino's face exploded in a dark blush. No. Of course not, you baka. I've never. I'm a virgin. Then shut up, Naruto commanded. If you aren't what they say, then their words are just wind. And nobody talks over the wind when I'm around. As they emerged from the forest and entered the bustling streets of Konoha, Ino braced herself. She expected the jeers, the whispers, the pointed fingers. She expected the slut-shaming that had become her daily bread. But as Naruto walked through the center of the village with Ino Yamanaka on his back, something miraculous happened. The silence was absolute. Shopkeepers stopped talking. Ninjas on rooftops froze. The crowds parted like the Red Sea. No one dared to whisper. No one dared to even look Ino in the eye. Naruto's presence was so suffocating, his aura so dominant and terrifyingly beautiful, that the mere fact she was with him acted as a shield of divine protection. His God of Shinobi status wasn't just a title, it was a law. To insult Ino now was to insult the man who held the fate of the world in his pale, scarred hands. Ino looked around, stunned. For the first time in weeks, she felt like a human being again, not a piece of trash. She knew this was temporary, that once she was away from his shadow, the wolves would return. But for now, resting her head against the back of the most arrogant man in the world, she felt a flicker of something she thought she'd lost forever: hope. Naruto's stride was relentless, but as they reached a secluded terrace overlooking a quiet part of the village, he abruptly stopped. Without a word, he lowered Ino onto a stone bench near a cluster of weeping willow trees. The privacy of the spot was absolute, shielded by the hanging branches. Ino looked up at him, her heart hammering against her ribs. Why did you stop? Are you leaving me here? You said we were going to get food. Naruto didn't answer immediately. He stood before her, his hands tucked into his pockets, his icy blue eyes boring into hers with a terrifying intensity. The sunlight caught the snowy paleness of his skin, making him look like an ancient, judgmental deity. You're lying, he said, his voice a low, dangerous vibration. Ino flinched. I don't know what you're talking about, Naruto. Don't insult my intelligence, he snapped, his chakra flickering for a brief second, cold and suffocating. I am a sensor. I can feel the jagged edges of your chakra. It's bleeding with guilt and secrecy. You said you were going home, but your heart rate spiked with fear when you said it. You have no home to go to, do you? Ino's eyes widened, her breath hitching. Why would I lie to you? You're just a self-absorbed jerk who thinks he knows everything. Then tell me the truth. Naruto stepped closer, looming over her. Who did this to you? Who broke the proud Ino Yamanaka so thoroughly that she has to lie to the only person helping her? No one. It's nothing. Ino screamed, her frustration finally boiling over. The dam she had built around her heart cracked. It's Sakura, okay? It's her. She's the one who told everyone I'm a filthy whore. She brought men to my house. Men who claimed I did disgusting things to them, that I opened my legs for money, that I performed acts I didn't even know existed. She made me a monster in everyone's eyes just because she couldn't stand that people looked at me instead of her. The words poured out of her like a flood. She destroyed my family. My mother kicked me out because of her lies. I'm a virgin, Naruto, but the whole world thinks I've had 10 men in my bed in a single night because your precious Sakura said so. As the last word left her lips, Ino gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Horror struck her. She realized who she was talking to. This was Naruto, the boy who had chased Sakura for years, the man who considered her his closest teammate. Oh no! Ino whispered, her eyes filling with fresh, terrified tears. I shouldn't have said that. You love her. You've always loved her. Now you're going to hate me even more, aren't you? You're going to defend her and leave me here to rot. She began to sob uncontrollably, her body shaking. Go away. Just go. You have the truth now, so go run back to your perfect Sakura. Leave me alone. Go, go, go. She pushed at his chest, her weak strikes doing nothing to move his solid frame. She expected him to yell, to defend Sakura's honor, or to walk away in disgust. Instead, Naruto simply stood there, unmoving, watching her break down into a heap of purple and gold. "Why are you still here?" she wailed. "You don't believe me. No one believes me over her." "I believe you," Naruto said. The world seemed to stop. Ino's sobbing paused mid-breath. She looked up, her face wet with tears and snot, her expression one of pure disbelief. "What?" "I said I believe you," Naruto repeated, his voice devoid of its usual mockery. It was flat, certain, and cold. "I've seen the way she looks at you. I've seen the rot in her heart for a long time. People change, Ino. I changed. Why wouldn't she?" Ino stared at him for a long beat. The validation, the simple act of being believed by the most powerful man in the world, shattered the last of her defenses. With a cry of pure emotional release, she threw herself forward, wrapping her arms around his waist and burying her face in his white shirt. She cried into his chest, the fabric soaking up her tears. She told him everything: how Sakura had orchestrated the rumors, how she had brought men to testify against her, claiming she had serviced them in the most demeaning ways. She clung to him as if he were the only solid thing left in a crumbling world. Naruto felt the heat of her body, the desperation in her hold. He felt incredibly awkward, his arms hovering in the air. All right, he muttered, his voice returning to its arrogant, impatient tone. "You're getting salt and dirt all over my custom shirt. This is actually quite embarrassing, Ino. People will think I'm the one making you cry." Ino pulled back slightly, looking up at him with red-rimmed eyes. "You really are a heartless jerk, aren't you? I'm pouring my soul out and you're worried about your laundry." "Precisely," Naruto said, though he didn't push her away. Suddenly, the air in the terrace grew cold. A sharp, familiar scent of cherry blossoms and medicinal herbs drifted toward them, but it felt tainted, sour. Well, a voice dripped with honeyed malice. "If it isn't the village slut, trying to wrap her filth around our hero." Ino froze, her blood turning to ice. Naruto's eyes shifted toward the entrance of the terrace. Sakura Haruno stood there, her hands on her hips, a look of faux disappointment on her face. She looked at Ino with pure venom. "Honestly, Ino, I knew you were desperate, but trying to seduce Naruto while you're covered in dirt? Truly, even for a whore, you've hit a new low. Is the bitch crying because she ran out of customers today?"
If you're a true Naruto fan, hit that like button and subscribe for more anime stories.